Couple of pieces from Breakingviews we're looking at this morning. French banks face a tough 2012 and why a two-speed Eurozone looks set to stay for now. Joining me is Chris Hughes. Morning to you, Chris. Let's start with the French banks. In fact, what I want to start with is you putting BNP Paribas and Soc Gen into the same bracket, if you like, here. Pretty different numbers. All right, same challenges, this deleveraging, and that's going to continue. But the numbers look different, and Moody's is threatening BNP with a downgrade.
Well, yeah, they are very different animals. And if you remember, Soc Gen back before the crisis was, the racier of the two. It was, I mean, they were both big in derivatives, but Soc Gen, if you like, was perceived as being the more adventurous bank. And then the crisis hit, and there's obviously the Kerviel scandal at Soc Gen. And what the numbers are showing is that it's still really a bank in transition, in adjustment. It's trying to sort of put that racier past behind it and become, a more boring institution, if you like. And but the exposure to investment banking, in this environment really is, a big drag on the numbers. Whereas BNP Paribas is, more established. Was never actually trying to be, quite so gung-ho.
Sure. I guess the point you're making in this piece is that, look, they're facing the same headwinds in 2012. Bank-bashing president. And the economic slowdown. Yeah, I mean, and what will be interesting to see how the two different banks deal with those challenges.
Yeah, look, they're very different animals, but going into 2012, they've had a difficult 2011. Obviously, a lot of focus on French banks and the concern about French downgrade hitting French banks. Going into 2012, you have they are both adjusting in different ways, but they both face this challenge in terms of the emerging regulatory landscape, and you have this sort of bank-bashing theme in French elections, in French politics, which is going to, hit both of them, and is a challenge to, to their models as they develop.
All right, the next piece is this two-speed Europe, which is nothing new, of course. We've been talking about this for a long time. You're looking at it, though, from the labour cost and the trade perspective, and that. But both of those feed into this idea that it's very, very much a two-speed Europe, and will continue to be so.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's sort of painful to talk about to still be talking about two-speed Europe, and that expression has been around for so long. But actually, when you look at the numbers, it's really hard to avoid using this sort of European cliche. It really is borne out. You've seen that the most recent data for France and Germany shows them actually doing better than expected, even though there was a slight contraction in Germany, still better than expected, and yet the so-called peripheral countries really, bogged down in the mire, really struggling for growth, suffering contraction in places, and then you've got this problem where you say, well, is all this pain they're taking fiscally, is it actually part of a sort of better narrative in terms of them becoming more competitive? And the answer is, well, maybe in Ireland looks to be doing okay, but when you look at the numbers elsewhere, labour costs are still stubbornly high. You've got big problems with trade imbalances.
I thought this was an interesting point as well. Recession normally slashes deficits by reducing imports, of course, but Greece still running over an 8% of GDP deficit on the current account at the end of last year.
And it just shows the challenges here are so big in terms of what you'd be hoping to see would be a lot of pain, but as reforms kicked in, some improvement in the competitive position. But actually, you have both a situation where there's a bigger gap between the core countries and the so-called periphery, but it's not clear that the periphery is structurally improving its economy in a way that could make them catch up. So that's why we're saying today that maybe this idea of the two-speed Europe is becoming utterly entrenched.
I like the cycling metaphor as well. Definitely worth a read that story. Many thanks,
Slightly
Chris.
wobbly at the back of the pack, though.
Exactly. Chris Hughes. If you want to read those stories, of course, you can find them on the Breakingviews website. For more agenda-setting insight, watch our US show every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 GMT. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.